You are about to fade the wrong fantasy football rookie wideout. Here's the truth behind the 2025 wide receiver tiers. I'm going to start out with a tier of his own. This is a player drafted to be a major contributor early. It was the 8th pick in the draft, Carolina Panthers, Tetairoa McMillan. McMillan is what I call one of the only classic X receivers in the game. He's the one that wins on 3rd and 7, lines up and takes press coverage. He was the player that fit that mold, and he was clearly the first pick in the draft. Not excited about Bryce Young, but hey, if it doesn't work out this year, they can fix that in the future. But McMillan should be a fantasy football star for years to come. Anthony, why don't you tell us about some definite starters, but maybe not superstars?
Jim, we're going to lead off with Emeka Egbuka. He's got the tools. Smooth routes, great hands, yak juice, but the Bucs depth chart is absolutely loaded. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin still command heavy targets, and 2024 rookie Jayden McMillan went off down the stretch. While Egbuka is a slot-first wide receiver, we know he can play the outside. He could carve out a role if injuries strike, but his fantasy upside is capped out the gate despite draft capital on his side. Next up, Jayden Higgins. He has size, red zone upside, and the chance to climb the Texans depth chart. He passes guys like Christian Kirk. Nico Collins is still the alpha. Tank Dell's already cooked this year, and Jaylin Noel will compete for snaps, but Higgins could emerge as a favorite target for CJ Stroud down the stretch. He lacks separation skills, but if you're chasing touchdown upside late in drafts, he's worth a flyer. Next, Luther Burden. His after-the-catch ability is outstanding, but Chicago isn't the cleanest fit. He'll fight for opportunity with fellow rookie Colston Loveland behind guys like DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Cole Kmet. Burden's ceiling depends on the Bears opening things up under Ben Johnson. If he gets consistent snaps, Burden could push for wide receiver 4 value. But with Loveland drafted earlier and an overall loaded pass-catching group, I'm fading Burden in formats outside of dynasty. Next, Tre Harris. He has strong hands, plays physical, and could leapfrog Quentin Johnston to start the year. Ladd McConkey leads this wide receiver group, but Harris has a real shot at wide receiver 2 duties in week 1. He's not fast, but he wins contested balls and brings toughness. If Herbert throws more this season and Harris can earn his trust, Harris could easily surpass his ADP when it comes to fantasy production. Next, Jack Bech. He isn't flashy, but he's tough and dependable. The kind of guy Chip Kelly can lean on in a new-look Raiders offense. With Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers locked in, Bech could still be the number 3 option right out the gate. There's a low ceiling here, but if the Raiders are trailing often, he might rack up enough shallow targets to bring value in deeper PPR leagues. Next, Kyle Williams. He brings some speed to the Patriots wide receiver room. He's also polished, physical, and has a real shot to become Drake May's go-to receiver. While Stephon Diggs is on track for week 1, he's still aging and coming off a significant injury, which means Williams has a path to volume, especially if May lets it rip. Keep an eye on Williams in training camp. If he pops, he is worth taking a shot on in fantasy drafts. Finally, Elic Ayomanor. He's a big-bodied wideout with above-average red zone skills and really strong hands. And the Titans might just give him a run at the X role next to Calvin Ridley with uncertainties on Treylon Burks' health and Tyler Lockett's age. He's not sudden or super quick, but he wins at the catch point and could lead all rookie Titan wide receivers in production. He might be raw, but if you're hunting for late round upside, this is your guy.
If you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, we're offering 15% off all RotoWire products. You go to RotoWire.com, pick out your favorite product or subscription, use that code ROTO15 to score your 15% discount. Remember, a subscription gets you access to tools like our mock draft simulator and the picks and props tool. Again, RotoWire.com, the code ROTO, ROTO15 at checkout. Next, I have some depth options were drafted that way with a chance to earn more. Let's start out with Isaac Teslaa of the Detroit Lions. Now, Teslaa was an early 3rd round pick, 6'4", 214, a classic ball winner on the outside, but he had above average testing. But here's the rub. First of all, how much work is a second outside receiver on the Lions ever getting? Jameson Williams is there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, the dynamic duo at running back. That's a question. Also, there was word that the camp says Teslaa is going to see a lot of work as a rookie, as a special teamer. We'll see how that shakes out. Next, Pat Bryant, third-round pick of the Denver Broncos. Now, Sean Payton talked him up, and who am I to argue that one? 6'2", 204, but he's slow. Third percentile 40 time. Of course, Coach Payton tried to compare Pat Bryant to Michael Thomas. Maybe Marcus Colson. Maybe we'll go that way. But still, I trust Sean Payton, but I don't like the physical skill set of Pat Bryant. But again, might be a player to invest in because you got to believe in that coach. Jaylin Noel, third-round pick of the Houston Texans. 5'10", 198. Noel slots in as a perfect slot receiver. Tested extremely well at the combine. Now, Christian Kirk was an addition in trade in the offseason, but Kirk's in the last year of his contract. Noel and Kirk both profile to play the slot. Noel likely is the long-term answer, but he would need a good camp to push Kirk aside. He could be a factor this year, maybe late in the year, but certainly in 2026. Savion Williams of the Green Bay Packers. Now, people wondered, why do the Packers? They go first-round Matthew Golden, come back third-round Savion Williams, 6'4", 222 pounds, a big boundary receiver. Why? Well, Romeo Doubs was suspended for a game last year because he complained about his role. This could be a direct replacement for Doubs, maybe in 2025 or maybe in 2026. But Savion Williams walks into a team situation where he could get an outside role. But remember, the team only attempted 27 passes per game in the second half of last season, so it may not be a high-volume offense as long as Josh Jacobs is in town. Next, Tai Felton of the Minnesota Vikings. With a third-round comp pick, they were able to get a hold of Felton. Now, Felton, 6'1", 183, speed to burn. You could play him in the slot. You could play him on the perimeter. Well, let's see. We've got Justin Jefferson. We got Jordan Addison. Jalen Nailor is your number 3. This is not a high bar to pass. And if Tai Felton's speed is game-changing, he could easily bump Nailor from that spot and eventually be a big deal for the Vikings, especially if J.J. McCarthy becomes the real deal at quarterback. Finally, Jaylin Royals, 4th-round pick, Kansas City Chiefs. I get to play with Patrick Mahomes, what Jaylen Royals probably said. Now, this year might not be a clear path. Rashee Rice, you got Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown was brought back on a contract for 1 year. Royals might need another year, but guess what? Rookies take time to learn in most scenarios under Andy Reid, so it might be a perfect learning opportunity. Royals is probably a great play for 2026, but again, you never know what will happen. Could be late this year as well.